Hello and welcome back to the Don't Ask Questions podcast, a podcast where we, and this is true, question everything and maybe give advice along the way, but it's not really serious. And if you follow it, that would be on you. If it does work out, that is on us.
We should probably do like some sort of warning at the beginning of this episode of
Yeah, this one's a little blue.
These are like, yeah, we really just started with like the most traumatic stories of our life.
Well,
not the most traumatic, but they're a little gross.
Yeah.
I've decided, because we do advice and we're so good at advice. I thought I would give advice about dogs, because I've had dogs for more than half my life, and something really funny happened. Well, I'll tell the story. This is advice. So if you hear your dog vomiting, right?
Oh,
if you hear that, you have to proceed with just so much caution, because what might happen, right, is that you might call your dog's name and go, "Oh no, what are you doing?" and start descending the stairs, and he'll go, "Uh-oh, I've been spooked." And he'll run to his crate, still vomiting, which gives you not one, not two, but 4 puddles of vomit to clean up. So you just have to be so careful when your dog's vomiting, and that's my advice about dogs.
Why was he vomiting?
He's an idiot.
Did he eat bad though?
No, he's an idiot. We went so that day my mom took the dogs for a walk in the dog park, and they did like 3 loops, which is longer than we usually do. And it's the dog park, so they tire themselves out. And then in the afternoon, we went to go to see my brother's apartment, and we walked the dogs in the park there, which was like a longer walk too. So they were pretty tuckered out. And then, I mean, you can assume which dog this is, just given the spookiness of it. But he's had this trouble before, where if he's really thirsty or like had a long walk, he'll just drink everything in sight and then proceed to vomit it all out because he's an idiot. And so before, we used to put like rocks in his dog bowl so he couldn't drink all the water, like big rocks. But we were like, oh, he's better now, he's smart. No. The amount of vomit I had to, like, do you ever like just turn off one of your fears? You're like, I need to be able to deal with this, so I can't be in my head for this one, because I hate vomit.
Mm-hmm.
I had to, like, because I was going to throw up if I just didn't turn that thing off in my brain. The amount of vomit I had to deal with.
Just compartmentalize.
Yeah, I had to be like, we're just gonna get on the prize here, clean floors.
Visualize your goals.
That's exactly what I was doing.
So I have a similar story about my dog, but from my parents, because I wasn't here. But basically, like, she got really sick last week, like to the point my mom was like, she's I think like 9 months old or 10 months old now. My mom's like, this dog is going to die. We got a dog and killed it within 10 months.
Sorry.
So basically, like, she was like throwing up, and like it wasn't a good time. And like so they took her to the vet, and then at the vet she was 100% okay. She was like running around. She was like, there was this cat that was there, and she kept approaching the cat, and then when the cat hissed at her, she was like, oh, that means we're friends, and it would continue to approach this cat. Anyway, so the vet's like, yeah, she's fine, and she was like eating treats and stuff, whereas at home she wasn't eating anything. So my parents were like, okay, we're gonna let her like sleep in our room tonight, because like, you know, like this has been a traumatic day. Anyway, so like she puked within the night, and then like they're like, okay, well, like we'll do this a couple more nights. We'll just let her, like, you know, stay in our room.
That's how it starts.
And then
she won't sleep anywhere else now.
And, like, they puke in the night apparently because they have an empty stomach, and the acid buildup causes nausea, and then they puke. So my mom did some research and found these biscuits that that she's like, okay, they're really good for dogs. Like they keep them full through the night, and like they're just like super healthy, like from a natural food store. So she gives her these 2 biscuits at the night, on the night, and then she was also getting up and wandering through the night. So they're like, okay, let's put the baby gate up at the top of the stairs, so she at least she doesn't like have a place to wander. She'll just like stay like. So it's 1 a.m. apparently. And basically my parents' room is on one side of the floor and my room is on the other side. And the dog walks all the way like down the hall, like, and right in front of my room. And my dad gets up confused and he was just staring at her and she looked like she was just sitting here. And he's like, what are you doing there? And she was just looking at him like, why are you up? Like they're just like staring at each other. So my dad like came over to like come get her, and then he like his foot slips and he was like,
I have another story already.
He's like, oh no, like what was that? And he's like, it was like water. And then so my mom got up at this point, and
some Looney Tunes stuff happening,
and it's diarrhea, like explosive diarrhea. Apparently she had like this explosive diarrhea, and it was like all over the walls, like on the curtains, like outside my room. They did like take all the curtains down and like wash them, and then they cleaned that night. The next morning they mopped again.
This is so funny.
And this poor dog is just had the worst diarrhea. And I'm like, this is it. It's probably because she's anxious that she was throwing up because she wasn't in her like normal area.
I didn't think the biscuit.
It was because of the biscuits. So that my mom looked
obviously
at it's like whole wheat and like in bran and just like so much fiber.
That reminds me of the time where my old dog, he had thrown up in my parents' room, and I was going over to talk to my mom, and then she told me, she was like, careful, this dog vomit. And I was like, all right. And then I stepped right into it. And this is another piece of advice. When you step in dog vomit once, you should clean up the dog vomit right away, because otherwise you might do what I did, which was go clean my foot off with the dog vomit and then come back and proceed to step in it again because you're an idiot and you can't learn from your past mistakes.
To this day, my dad says, he's like, I raised 2 children and that was the worst experience I've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, that was on the walls. Some velocity to that.
But kids do that too. Like the amount of stories people have about children doing like wild things.
I have one about myself.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, I don't remember. I know that's a lie. I vaguely remember this happening, but this story is a story that my parents have told me. And so apparently one time I had eaten blueberries before I went to sleep, and then I got really, really sick in the middle of the night and I threw up. And at that time in my house, we had like carpet, like the, the old style houses with just carpet everywhere.
80s.
Yeah, so we just had this like grayish carpet, and that was the entire second floor was just carpet. So obviously I throw up, and my parents come and they're like, oh my gosh, this child just threw up on our carpet. But not only that, I threw up purple vomit on our carpet. Purple blueberry vomit that was definitely going to stain. So my dad is like, oh no, and he starts grumbling, and it's like 3 a.m. and he's trying to clean this carpet of my blueberry vomit, and little me at the time was like, oh great, horsey time, because like when you're little and like adults get on their hands and knees, you can like ride on their backs and pretend they're a horse, So me like just post vomiting, like right after
post vomit, middle of the night.
You feel
middle of the night. My dad is clearly angry. just trying to clean the carpet. I at this point jump on his back and start being like, let's play, like horsey time. And he just like couldn't couldn't contain the laughter because it was just a complete 180 to how he was feeling. And then to this day, my parents tell me that story like all the time. Like it just if they're reminded of me vomiting, they're like, one time? And I'm like, yes. And I'm sorry.
I don't know why. You've reminded me of a story. It's not fun though. It's like, so another piece of advice, if you're like annoyed with like the laundry room and you're like, I should close the door because some idiot turned on the laundry at like 11 and you're supposed to be sleeping at that time. I was younger, but I still go to bed at 11 now. Earlier, some would say. But I was even I was even smaller. No, but I closed it, and here's the advice: you should look if there's a chin-up bar in the door, so when you close it, it doesn't fall on your head. And then also, if something falls on your head and your head really hurts, you should probably like tell your parents first. Because what I did, because this was in the evening, I just sat down on the floor next to it and started holding my head, and I was like, oh, this hurts. And then imagine my mom's absolute terror when she hears me scream, because what I had done was I was holding my head and I was like, uh-oh, and my hand came back wet. And I was profusely bleeding from my head. So she held my head over the sink, which is better because she's once held my brother's head over a McDonald's toilet when he had a nosebleed there. So I mean, like that. But also, just yeah. Check your doorways.
Yeah.
You want to hear my funniest story? I know Natasha does. It's what she sent. So
Tell us.
Yes. So I went to Hawaii one year with my mom, my brother's girlfriend, and my brother, but my brother hadn't gone to Hawaii yet, so it's just us three. And we had spent the day all nice and dandy. And then it was the day I think he was supposed to come. So we were at this beach that was like sort of close to the airport, not really, but it was like within like a good amount of time. And we decided that was going to be our last stop. And then it took us a little bit to find it because it was a little hidden away. Some of the beaches are there. And my mom told me it was like a bit of a walk to get to the thing. And as we were approaching, it was hot. And I was like, oh, yeah. And Sarah knows where this is going. And I was like, oh, I kind of have to go to the washroom. So I go to the washroom thinking I'm going to, do my business there. I don't. I'm like, I guess that was it then. Just really needed to pee or something. Didn't feel like it, but I guess that was it. And so I get out. I'm walking away. We go down to the beach, which is like, it was a bit of a hike. You also had to like go through this, like, it felt like a gated community sort of, like where rich people were, but you couldn't see houses. There was just sort of like a road at some point, and there was like this walkway. Anyways, it's like a 5-minute walk or something. And we get down to the beach, and I don't really like the ocean. I prefer to dig holes in the sand because, gotta get down to earth. And, and so I'm starting to dig this hole, and I'm starting to feel really bad. I'm like, oh God, I already went to the washroom. What is happening? I'm starting to feel really, really bad. And I'm like, uh-oh, I have never pooped my pants, but I will never. That one time was the closest I've ever felt. So I get up out of the sand. I think I had the thought to bring, like, I was panicking at this point. I thought if I don't get somewhere, it's not gonna be fun. So I get up, I go to where my mom is. I have the runs, and then I sprint away holding my flip-flops, and I think I might have brought a pair of shorts because I was in my bathing suit, right? I might have brought a pair of shorts. I don't know if I actually did that. I'm starting to sprint, but I'm not sprinting because I'm worried about the effect that will have on my situation. So I'm power walking as fast as I can. And I'm starting to sweat at this point. And not like sweat because it was hot in Hawaii, This is the poop sweats. You know, like if you've ever been there,
You know
it's-
what we're talking
yeah,
about.
it's like a cold sweat that covers your entire body, and you're like, I need to go. And so I'm running, and I'm thinking, oh God, what if I don't make it back up to this place? Is there anywhere I can go in the bushes? And there's not, because like I said, it was like sort of a gated community. And I was hoping I would see no one on the way. That was a bad thing to think of, because I saw a woman. I think I also saw like a family at first, but I was like too panicked. And I saw this woman, and like I had to like play off like panic on my face. I'm probably like white as a sheet and just trying to like head down, just trying to get to it. And like I'm not normally pee shy, but like I didn't know what sort of sounds I was gonna make. But at that point, I could not care less about who could hear me or what was happening. And so I finally make it to the bathroom. I remember like, so the tarmac's really hot. I had to stop to put on my flip-flops. So I tried to run there. And then there were people by it. And I get it. Okay. I get to the toilet, and I finally release. And it says it's Hawaii. It was so hot. I was already sweating because of the poop sweats. And it was so hot in that bathroom that I'm sweating even more. And like it was pretty clean, all things considered. But it didn't stop me from taking a shower afterwards. Like that's how bad it was for my whole body. I was like, I need to wash this away. But that's my favorite story.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good one.
That story, the way you tell it, it's just so dramatic. It's like a cinematic.
It was
like,
dramatic.
Shot by shot. It's so fun.
Oh no,
You don't understand. It was
it's always like such a long story too, but every part of it is so essential to like understand the situation.
I think like when I came back, like sometimes I'm not really embarrassed about it. Clearly, I'm telling this on a thing we're gonna put to the internet, but I'm not embarrassed about most things, because if anything embarrassing happens to me, my first thought is like, I gotta tell people this.
Yeah.
And so obviously when I went back to my mom and like my brother's girlfriend at the time, I was like, you'll never believe what I just went through. I told them immediately.
Yeah. It's also like not an embarrassing story because you made it, right? Like
I did it. I
like
succeeded.
it would have been the embarrassing story if you were to poop your pants, right?
I
Like,
would still tell it if I pooped my pants.
But in this one, you overcame the obstacles. You beat the odds. You fought nature and won.
Exactly.
Oh god. Just when you said it was a long walk to get to the beach, I was like, I know this story. Oh, it's yeah, so fun.
Yeah.
I have a less dramatic version of the story of my like the situation I was in.
No, Natasha was there.
No, I wasn't there, but like a situation I was in where I was almost the closest time I was to pooping my pants. It was Boxing Day actually. And I knew there's something like going on. Like I was having not good times. But it's Boxing Day, right? So my whole family was like, we're going to the mall right now. Like it's like 8 a.m. and we're like, let's go, like, because it opens right now, and like we'll go and then we'll do all shopping before it gets busy, because it gets really busy around 11. I'm like, guys, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Like I have to be like I have to be home. I gotta be close to a washroom at all times today. We go to the mall. I'm like, okay, I suck it up. I'm like, okay, we'll do this. We go into like a bookstore that's in the mall, and like me thinking of where the closest bathroom is at all times, because it's a mall I'm used to going to, and I thought there was one within the bookstore, because I was like, yeah, like it's a bigger store, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to happen. Mom's like now, and I'm like, yeah, now. She's like, okay, let's figure this out. And so we run around the store for a little bit because we both thought it was in there. and it wasn't. So I'm like, oh, if I don't make it to someplace soon, like I'm not gonna make it, basically. So I run like out of the store into the mall, like looking for the closest bathroom, and I make it to the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, thank God. And then I like, do my business and like leave. And then my mom's like, did you make it? And I'm like, yes. And then so we were both like so relieved. And then we just continued doing our shopping, and I'm like, okay, I feel much better now.
Oh yeah, you always feel better.
Yeah, that's the one thing about like coming out of either end, like right after it happens, it just like it's such a relief.
Yeah.
I haven't been chiming in much, but I will say a story and expose myself in particular to Mariana, who perchance wondered this a little bit in high school. Perchance she didn't care enough. I'm not sure.
What story is this?
But I'm not advocating this diet for anyone. Not that it is a diet, but a lot of the times in high school,
It's not a diet. Let's put a disclaimer on. It's not a diet.
Disclaimer, it's not a diet. I wasn't trying to like lose weight or anything. This is just my thing where I didn't really have an appetite. Or I still don't have an appetite early in the morning. So during lunchtime, I would usually just get coffee. And here's the thing about that. When you have coffee on an empty stomach,
on
an empty stomach, you will be very compelled by the forces of caffeine to go to the bathroom. Now, this would usually compel me to go to the bathroom sometime after lunch. I sit there with my caffeinated drink, and you feel it, okay? You feel those cold sweats. You feel like you want to die. But I'm in class. The teacher is still going on. And so it's the tentative, raise your hand. Excuse me, can I go to the bathroom? Because we had to ask things like that. And I'd be gone for so long, 15 minutes at a time sometimes. And I only call out Mariana because
you have to say, why am I being called out?
Because I had a lot of classes with you.
Not after lunch.
Yes. And the class in particular I think about is us in grade 11, chemistry and English. Mariana, I don't know if you ever paid attention to when I was
Never.
Wait, obviously because you don't care about me. But if you've ever noticed, hey, she's been in the bathroom for 10 minutes now, that's why. So kids, what I'm trying to say is if you have issues going to the bathroom, okay, you could choose to take laxatives, or you could take nature's laxative, which is caffeine. Caffeine on an empty stomach will do the trick for you. Let me tell you this.
Advice.
That's my advice. If you really you feeling bloated, you haven't gone in a few days, that's what you do. Straight caffeine, cold hard, on an empty stomach, you'll go. Trust me.
Or could try my method, which is
dig a hole in the sand.
Just like die for some reason.
Find yourself a beach.
Yeah.
Start digging holes.
You could also take the method my family took
dog
with
food.
the dog. And
dog food will probably make you go.
Yeah, just like get like a super high fiber biscuit into your diet. Just
just consume all the fiber and you'll be good.
Yeah.
Like an entire box of all brand cereal.
Yeah.
And you're good. And a water and you're good.
Oh.
I truly cannot believe we've spent half of this podcast. This is our gross episode. This is our gross stuff episode.
But it's so good.
It's so funny.
Oh, these stories are always entertaining.
I don't know. For me, like I've recently thought about a lot of poop stories and vomit stories in my life, just because my dog was going through this now. So I'm thinking back into my own personal life of all these stories, and I some of them like I can't tell because they're not just about me, they're about like other people. But like some of them are just so funny, and I just like I want to tell them all. So
No. I only say this because I have a baby. Not my own
You
baby.
have a baby?
No, I don't have
A
baby.
mother?
Disclaimer, I'm not a mother. I have someone in my family who will have a baby shortly. And I know all of you three joining me you're not exposed to babies.
We
You're
joining you?
like
Joining you here today on this.
Yeah,
Gracious hour.
are we getting married?
none of you guys really deal with babies much in life. Not really. Like it's not in the
No.
family. I've dealt with them a lot. I have big age gaps between my siblings, so I took care of my little sister when she was a baby. Nephews, family members, everyone. I take care of them, right? So I know. And one day you'll come across this. There is nothing smellier in this world than baby poop. There is nothing that smells worse. I don't know why it smells so potent. It could just be because I'm used. Well, like when we go to the bathroom, there's water. Maybe it's just it being out there in the world. I don't know what it is.
It's probably the food.
But especially in the first few hours of life, the worst smelling thing in the world. Like, I don't know why.
Probably just not working properly. They've never had to do that before.
Never had to do it before.
No
And the
solid food.
It's crazy. I don't even know like what they expel. Like they have to expel waste and everything too. But babies are a lot of grossness. I don't mean to say that like babies are gross, but you're really like
It's
if
part
you
of the
have safety
package.
factor, if you're like kind of squeamish and you have a child, that's gone. That's gone pretty soon. Like you will like happily like smear like some like vomit off their cheek or something and wash it away. Like I don't know. Like it's you really just
it becomes a lot less of an
anymore.
issue.
Yeah.
It's really funny because my mom even now is still pretty squeamish because like once it like she reverted back, right? Like even when we were when we were little, she was a little bit squeamish, but like you have to do what you have to do, right? And but like my dad would take care of a lot of the like really extremely gross stuff. But yeah, so but my mom like even now she's like, yeah, no, I hate it. I'm so glad you guys aren't infants anymore.
My mom's very strong. She'll touch anything. Not to say that she goes around touching things. Like, so the thing about me is I hate the way some things like feel. So like I like to make pizza dough sometimes. I do that by hand and I hate it. I hate it so much with a passion.
You make it so often.
I know. I now know how to like get around the worst bit. But usually I just used to make my mom do it. So anything like that, or like if we ever made a turkey, she'd be the one,
Wow.
Doing
Nice.
the worst of it.
Yeah, she gets her hands look like that, so mine can look like this. And mine look like this, so my dad don't ever have to see a day's work. His hands are so soft. Don't know how he does it.
Moisturize is key, right?
He finessed his way.
And that's our advice.
For joining
Find
us.
somebody that can touch all the gross stuff so you don't have to.
There you go.
Or just be born into that.
Okay, speaking of, this is not really a touching thing, but mouth feel. The reason I eat almost everything. I'm not a picky eater. There's really not that much that I won't eat. I like food. I like almost every food. I don't like
Way to
Shout out
sound
to
human. Yeah, honestly.
We
He's
love you.
alive.
Shout out.
Doing
Love food.
great.
But I hate eggplant. And it's not that I don't like the taste of eggplant, because if someone mushes it up enough, I'll eat it. Baba ganoush, great.
Baba ganoush is great.
There's like some Korean dishes where you just like mash the heck out of an eggplant and you boil it and you eat it. Great. I can't stand it when there's like the skin and it's like a distinct different texture from the inside of the eggplant, because the difference in like the like, I don't know, it's like glossy and like slimy, and then the inside is all like mushy. I cannot deal with that. I don't like it.
Tomatoes, I find like I'm okay with it, but like
Triggered.
but like
Joanne is so
Like
offended.
tomatoes.
when you have like roast a tomato, say, like, and then the skin.
Never roasted tomato.
You know when you just roast a tomato.
Okay, I've never roasted.
Call
Or,
that
like,
dinner.
boiled or barbecued tomato.
Boil a potato? Did you say boil a
I don't know.
tomato?
I've never boiled the tomato. I won't say, but like say like I barbecue tomatoes because that's like a thing that we do.
Never done this.
Like kebab? Or,
Yeah.
okay.
Like a kebab.
Just like put it on the barbecue and like,
Yeah, it's just like a kebab, like a whole tomato. Yeah, it's good. It tastes really
delicious.
good. Like the skin kind of separates from the like mushy inside, and
Mhm.
it's like a I don't know how to describe the texture, but like it's like I don't like the texture of the skin.
It's like
I don't
glossy.
like it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's like when tomatoes are a little like porn quality and they're grainy. You ever have grainy
Sure.
tomatoes? Do you know what
No.
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't taste good.
Huh. What quality did you say? Just like
Who?
you said
Me?
Poor quality?
poor quality. Okay.
Quality.
Okay, that's
Okay.
not what I heard. I just wanted to
Poor
make
quality. No, not what you think you heard.
What did you think you heard?
Well, think about what rhymes with poor. So moving on.
it doesn't
Vegetables are pretty big for mouthfeel. For
Yeah.
weird mouthfeel. What people don't like to eat. I wonder
I
if
thought it
fruit
was the
falls into that
taste.
category.
No, I thought people didn't like vegetables because they didn't like the taste of vegetables.
Well,
I
I'm
didn't
thinking
know
of
it
things
was
that are
like-
usually labeled as problematic,
Mm.
weird mouthfeel, and it's usually veggies.
problematic vegetables. Let's cancel broccoli.
No. Not broccoli.
Why don't you like broccoli?
I don't not like broccoli. That's just the first
Wow, I
vegetable.
can't believe Natasha hates broccoli.
Wow, get out. You're no longer part of the
She was
Honest.
mad. She's like, let's cancel it. I was like, whoa,
broccoli
whoa.
lover club here.
Jeez, wow, okay.
I suggest canceling broccoli and I become the one canceled.
I mean, that's how it works, right?
Yes,
Not always, but yeah.
most of the time.
Mhm.
No, yeah. I mean, I would say for me personally, mouthfeel is about 50% of food's enjoyment for me.
Mhm. Yeah, that's about right.
If
I
I
feel
can't get it to feel nice in my mouth, I'm gonna hate it. Doesn't matter how it tastes. Because like for me, I love the taste of mushrooms. Cannot get over how they chew.
You don't like the rubber feel?
No, I can't. It takes me out every time.
Mhm.
It's like usually I have it with a stew, right? So I'm having stew and usually it's like that mouth melting meat, and I can have like a nice broth with some like rice or potatoes, depending on which one. And then I get to this rubbery like mushroom. I'm like,
Not a
no,
fan.
thank you. No, thank you.
No, see, mushrooms don't bother me. You know what it is for me though? I think it's just within the eggplant. It's like
The
you've got
slime?
two. No, it's just
Yeah,
too
it's
different.
the
They're just too
differentiate.
different, and I don't like the comparison.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Wow,
I'm
Sarah
the
doesn't like change. Okay.
Who likes change?
A healthy mindset, people.
A healthy mindset people. That's who likes change. Yeah,
Yeah.
a healthy mindset people.
Yeah, I
Yep.
said what I said.
Yep.
I'll stand by it.
Okay.
When my mom's listens to this, she's gonna say you're right. And she'd be like, doesn't matter what she said. Know that you're right, Marianne. And I'm like, yeah.
I think it's more that the grammar of the way you said it.
That's
It's
the grammar.
My mom will always support me. How dare you?
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I guess. I wasn't suggesting your mom wouldn't support you.
I was a little bit.
I knew it. I knew it.
Okay, I know this is like episode 5 or 6.
Is it?
Is
Something
it?
like that.
It's definitely not, but go on.
There's no numbers don't mean anything to me. Numbers are social constructs.
It feels like we've been doing this forever.
Space, quantity, all of that.
I also realized we haven't formally introduced ourselves at all.
And I never will.
And we never will.
Well,
But,
you can if you would like. I will
feel like we have
personally.
very distinct voices. I feel like at this point, people have picked up on who we are.
Yeah,
What our shtick is, you know. Do we need to introduce ourselves? Are they still guessing our names?
No, they're not. We've
It's-
name dropped so many times.
Yeah. And again, like they is not strangers, I will say.
Yeah, we don't.
Well,
Yeah.
to some of people I know won't know who you guys are.
That's right.
Doesn't
Just
matter.
know
And I
you.
don't want them to connect this me with real me.
Yeah.
Should I ever meet them one day, I don't want them to be like, oh, your poop story. You know? And I'll be like, yeah, I guess, but like, hi, what's your name?
But also,
You
my
start to
episode,
walk away. They're like, "Are you going? You going to the bathroom?
Oh, you're sweating.
Are you
It's pretty
sweating?
interesting.
Why not?
Do you need some time?
No?
Oh, I had a dream last night and I actually wrote it down. Do you want to hear?
Yes.
Does Dream Joanna make a comeback?
Is it me?
No,
Oh.
but Natasha was there.
Oh.
Natasha!
whoa!
And Dream Natasha was really nice. Yeah, look how long it is.
Oh,
So
you actually
hold
wrote it
on.
out.
You know, tell the story first, and then I'll start.
I also have a dream that I want to talk about, but I'll say it after.
Okay, so me and my family were going to New Zealand again. Apparently it was New Zealand. No, yeah, it was New Zealand. And but it was like a smaller island than it actually is. And like usually when we go to places like this, we rent a car. We didn't this time. And we went to this forest and there was this hike that you could go to see like a blowhole on the top of a mountain. And this is dream logic, so that doesn't exist. But like,
Volcano.
Sorry, disclaimer.
Hmm?
What's the actual term of blowhole?
I don't know.
That'd be
I ha-
funny if it
That's
is.
what I have in like whenever I wrote this.
A blowhole.
In the middle of the night, I have to write this down.
Okay.
It was on the type of the mountain or something, so it was like a hike. But in the middle of the hike, you could like stop at hot springs. It was like a 5-hour hike. But then, so I think I stopped at the hot springs and I decided, no, I'm not gonna go see the blowhole. I'm gonna go back. And as I'm going down, I accidentally step on a snake and it bites my foot. And my reaction is to like rip it off my skin. And that didn't work. I think I either ripped it in half or like it just stayed there. It was like this weird like braided texture. Like it looked almost like, you know, like those Chinese finger traps. Like it sort of looked like that as like a bright pink snake, that sort of like weaved, jaggedy, angular texture. And I'm like low-key panicking. I'm trying to rip it off and it bites me again. Yeah, sort of like that. Perfect.
Yeah.
We planned this. This is how you can tell these are scripted.
They're not scripted.
So I start to run away and it's like chasing me. And then there's no reason why Natasha just shows up, but all of a sudden I tell Natasha and I ask her what I should do. And she's like, call an ambulance. And then we're in a grocery store now. And I'm still running away trying to like hop on top of like things so the snake can't get me. And the snake is like dream physics, so it can jump. And we're paying for groceries and the ambulance is taking way too long. And so I run to another store, like in a department store, and I'm running around that store and I'm starting to feel like really bad. Like the snake is probably venomous. And the snake is still chasing me. And I call my dad. I'm like, can you come get me? The snake is chasing me. And then I think I finally kill it. Either I set it on fire or something. Anyways, and then I faint in the store and the ambulance comes. And then I sort of, even though I'm like unconscious in the dream, I was like out of body experience. So I could tell what was happening. And they start talking about how my heart stopped and I'm dead. Like legally I died. And then in the morning, my heart starts to beat again. And they're like, oh, cool. She's good. And it was this montage of like, it was showing me like projected blowholes, sort of like think the Matrix of like the screen room where it's just like walls and walls of TV screens. They're all showing different blowholes for some reason. And like it was a montage and I can sort of hear what the doctors are saying about me. And I wake up and then they tell me that my family is leaving New Zealand because of COVID, apparently. Like things have gotten worse and they're being like either evicted or they're trying to get out before they can't. And so I have to go find them, but I don't know where I am. I don't have a car. And so I start running along a dirt road. And eventually I come to a town, and I have a town name that doesn't exist. I have Bramalia or something. That's not a real place.
Wait, is it spelled like?
Ramalia is a place.
Isn't it like?
Not in New Zealand, I don't think.
No, it's a real place in a part of the world.
No, it's not. No.
No, I know what you're thinking about, Natasha. I'm like, that does exist.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't spell it like that. There's way too many other things in it. Anyways, I decided that I wanted to record this down in my half asleep state. And like, I get to this town, and everyone's super nice. And they were like, oh yeah, here are some directions to Auckland. That's where the airport is. And they're like, yeah, just take this truck, drive it, and then like just park it somewhere, and then like they'll just give it back to us. And I'm like, are you sure? I'm not sure that's how that works. Like, yeah, no, just drive it. But then I don't even end up using it because they like walk with me, and all of a sudden we hit like traffic, and there's all the sorts of cars and like trucks, and they're all trying to get out of New Zealand. But like they're lazy, and like we just walk around them kind of. And so we're like, and then there's just a line of people waiting by like the docks, because all of a sudden we're now like escaping via boat, and I'm lining up in this, and then I think I see my dad, if I'm remembering this right. Yep, I see my dad, and then I like the relief hits in the dream, and I regroup with my family, and we make it onto like the bus thing, like a little like tugboat, I guess, to take us to the real boat. And then I learned from them that I was in a coma for like a season. Like I remember my mom saying like I waited every night and day for a season, and I'm like
a TV season or like winter?
I don't know. I don't know how long a season is. And then they couldn't wait any longer. They had to leave. And then right at the end, I realized I still had the truck, and it was now a toy. It was a toy truck that they had given me from like the lady back in that city. And all I have is I feel bad. That's the last note. It's just I feel bad.
Or like stealing the truck.
Yeah. That was my crazy dream. I thought the snake played a bigger part in it than I remember, but I do remember Natasha being like, you should call an ambulance. That looks bad.
Is Natasha just like, does that mean Natasha in your mind is like the voice of reason? Like, is that how you see Natasha?
I guess. I mean, Natasha can speak to this, like in our apartment, because with my brother, we used to play a game, I guess, of like double check. And we'll touch things that are intentionally painful, like, oh, is it hot? And then we'll touch it and be like, yeah. And then we'll be like, double check, and you have to touch it again.
Why?
So it's things like that, but that's still ingrained in my mind, where I'll touch things that like are painful. And sometimes like I look at Natasha to stop myself.
So Natasha is the angel on your shoulder. I'm the devil on your shoulder.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the one thing that I'm thinking about specifically is
when I almost ate raw chicken.
No.
Oh.
We have a bread knife.
Oh.
and she's like, I wonder if this is sharp. And
I'm
then
already so worried.
Just slice her thumb on this bread knife.
No, I sliced with my fingers.
Mariana!
And I didn't do it when I wasn't home, but you just told me about it.
Yeah, because like they were like, to test if a knife is sharp, do it on your finger or something. In my head, I was like, oh yeah, just test it on your skin. What they really meant is like do it on your nail and do it like sort of like at an angle. But for me, I was like, is this knife sharp? Let's check.
You don't like.
Why?
It's not like the same motion. You shouldn't do it the same way you cut things. It's across the blade.
Well, yeah, I know that now.
For our viewers' sake.
Goodness, I'm so
Like,
worried about you now.
Yeah, like there are other people that will listen to this.
Hey, I'm still alive.
Yeah, but like you like cut yourself.
No, the time I almost ate raw chicken was I was cutting up chicken, and because this again with the feels, I hate the way like raw meat in any sense of the word feels. So I usually use like a fork to keep it steady, so it but I use like a kitchen knife, you know? So I'm cutting it like you would a meal basically. And the meal I was preparing for, I had to cut it in little cubes. And so I had this little cube on a chicken, and my idiot brain was like, you should lick it. And I went, and then I stopped myself by saying, no, Mariana, don't do that. So I start a lot of things, but I never see them through most of the
Yeah,
time.
don't lick raw chicken.
Yeah, so
Don't
my
eat raw
advice,
chicken. Don't like raw chicken.
yeah, that's the advice. If you were to take anything, is that.
Same with egg. Please don't eat raw
Well,
egg.
Raw egg in
Well-
Canada, like I'm not don't eat raw egg, like, but raw eggs in Canada, like it's very, 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 very unlikely anything will happen.
I'm not
Just try
giving
not
up
to.
tiramisu, Sarah. I will never give up tiramisu.
Also, if you're making yourself raw cookie dough, you can make it without eggs, and you should bake your flour first.
And it doesn't taste as good.
You should still do it so you don't give yourself gastroenteritis.
Well, I have eaten many raw things in my life, and you know what? Look who's still here. Not this isn't advice.
No, it sounds like it is from you.
This is more of a flex.
Like a lot of shortbread doesn't have eggs in it already, so the cookie dough for it, if you bake your flour in advance, like it's perfectly fine to eat.
Sure.
Yeah. Just
I mean,
I'm so worried about you. You're
Yeah.
20. How could you slice your fingers open?
I was 19 at the time.
You were 19. That's not any
It's fine. It's fine, everyone.
just
She was
still a teenager.
19. It's fine to just slice open your whole hand.
No, it wasn't like okay. The way slice
The
it wasn't.
second you turn 20, cut it out.
No,
Cut it out.
it was
Can't do
more.
that.
It was more like 3 paper cuts that were like a little deeper than normal.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, I once had a worse cut where I was trying to pull out what do you call it, tin foil? I was trying to pull that out, and I
you
cut.
sliced your finger on the.
I
the
cut in
sugar.
between this, and then the funny thing was I was making pizza at the time. So this is like a fun full circle thing, and I got blood all over my dough.
So I have a
It adds flavor.
I have a story. I was in,
Seasoning.
I think it was like 5 or 6 at a time, and I full disclaimer, I sometimes pass out at the sight of blood, and like those who know me know this about me, and it doesn't happen often anymore. It doesn't really happen anymore, but it happened like quite often when I was younger.
You say that, but I remember when you came out like a week ago.
Yeah, no, I still get like uncomfortable sometimes, but I won't pass out. Like I
You
know
s-
how to like stop myself from passing out basically. But when I was like really little, like I just didn't know the tools that to use to like prevent myself from fainting. So I was like, I think what, like 4 or 5 at the time, and it was a bridal shower for somebody in my family. I can't remember exactly, but basically I was there and I was in charge of like taping a gift or something. I was pulling tape basically. It was my role in this. And I had cut like the inside right here. And I remember
With-
being like, I can't tell any like right like the
I want to know about the physics of.
Well, how'd you cut it on tinfoil? The same idea.
Well, I was pulling it out. You were taping. Like it's
I was
not how.
forward taping. Like
Okay.
it's not like my dexterity isn't where it is today.
Okay.
Anyway, so I cut right in between like my thumb and index finger. And I remember being like, I can't tell anybody. Like I can't tell anybody this because then they'll have to deal with me and it takes away from the person's day. And so I
Don't
just sat
consider it.
staring at this cut, just being like, just like overthinking the hell out of it, just staring at it. And then all of a sudden, I basically wake up in an ambulance. What's going on? And then then we go to the hospital and I was given some Skittles and they're like, yeah, you're fine. But yeah, so that was one of the many times I passed out. But
I mean, it
the-
happens.
Your tinfoil story reminded me of that tape story. And then nobody knew why I had passed out though, because I didn't tell anybody about the cut. Like way later in the day.
Yeah.
I was
Are
staring
you
at
just
it again.
mysterious?
And my mom was like, "Is that why you passed out?" And I was like, "Yeah."
We have very different
boring.
reasons. Usually when I hurt myself, I don't want to tell people because I'll get in trouble. So there's many instances of me just like, I can deal with this. And I've never been caught, but then like I'll always tell people the story afterwards
Mhm,
where I'm like, you know how much of an idiot I was? I
mhm.
pressed my hands to a glass fireplace.
Oh, so the story from last week, basically, where I almost passed out in the middle of lecture.
Oh, I was like, are we
I was telling-
continuing something from
No,
our
yeah.
last episode?
No, you mentioned it like not like during my other story, but basically we were in class, and my professor, he was just talking like Professor Zoo. And
Teaching.
I don't remember what the actual lesson was about, but he ended up on this story of some famous person who had twins and they needed like
Oh
blood,
yeah,
and they're
Wait, they
like
needed
infants at the time.
blood thinner.
Yeah, like
blood
really
thinner.
really small, like, and so there's blood thinners that are made for children and blood thinners that are made for adults, and obviously the one for children are a lot like less potent, but they accidentally gave these children adult blood thinners, you know, like they almost die and stuff like that, and it's
Are
very
you having trouble telling the story?
no and
Okay. I was gonna say you should stop now.
no, it's more that I've been just talking for too long, but anyway, so they almost die and stuff. And then like I remember just like in this lecture, it was like, holy shit, I'm gonna pass out because this guy is just like talking about how these two kids died on blood thinners. And I'm like, this hasn't happened in so long that like I felt like this. But yeah, so I was like, and then I emailed him afterwards and I'm like, hey, just by the way, can you like not do that again? And
Did he ever email back?
he never replied to me. And I was like, oh, this seems about right. So yeah.
Happens.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so that's about all the time we have here today, folks.
What a fun episode. A very
Yeah.
gross episode.
I hope you
And my
guys-
favorite episode.
Yeah, I hope you
Yeah,
guys
so
don't gross
This
out.
episode is immortalized.
Perfect.
From your poop story.
I love it.
I hope you guys
I'm very-
enjoyed it.
Very proud of that story. Let us know about your near misses or
Or your
But that-
actual
That's the
misses.
question.
or that time you might have pooped yourself.
There we go. Or vomit related stories. We like those too, as you may or may
Yeah,
not
I'll read them.
have figured
I-
out.
I won't read them aloud to the
I'll send them specifically to her to read.
There you go.
Yeah, she'll follow me around where we live, dictating them.
Yeah, exactly.
Mariana can read them before she goes to bed to soothe herself.
It's 4 a.m. and you're startled by noise, and Natasha's just in the corner like, and so went to the garbage can. You just have to fall back asleep and just pretend it's not happening.
I would be listening and I'd be like, oh, what a nice story.
Bedtime stories.
Send me right to bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Anyway.
Thanks,
Join
guys.
us. Thanks for joining us. Next time may or may not be as gross, but we hope that you enjoyed this one.
Mhm.
And
I hope it will
see
be.
you- We'll see you soon.
Catch you on the flippy dip.